they have been, if you look at it very well, they are even saying that Lagos State cannot be part of failure. And the failure they are talking about is the entire southwestern states. They are not, Lagos is not getting anything from them. How would they be part of them? Instead, they are taking the resources that's meant for the indigenous people of Lagos State to southwestern states. And for this reason, they are saying that they want to, if anything like that is going to come up,
Regionalism.
that Lagos State have what it takes to stand alone.
Adelani Adeniji Adele, an official of the Renaissance Group, have said that Lagos will not be part of Southwest if there is a regional system of government. In a statement, he said, "We, the indigenes of Lagos, do not wish to be part of the regional state as being proposed in the bill returning Nigeria to regional government. Our leaders and traditional rulers opposed it in 1953, and we gained respite in 1967. We, offspring of our heroes past, will not accept it. This is a clear warning that perhaps the country goes into regionalism. The Southwest should forget about Lagos as it is not part of the region." This is from Adelani Adele, a Lagosian, an indigene of Lagos. Let's get reactions from Nigerians. What do you think about this statement as it concerns Lagos not being part of the Southwest?
You can't say that Lagos indigenes are not. It will be honest with you. But as it stands now, there are some parts that can be credited to the people of Awori. But if you look at what the name stands for, Eco, you cannot link, Yorubas to Eco ab initio. No, and then, yeah, you cannot. That's the truth. If you look at the history of how the whole thing started and what the British government or the colonial masters was trying to achieve as at that time was, Lagos as at that time was purely, a center created. See, even from you can know when these regions were not created, there was nothing like Nigeria, there was nothing like West Africa, there was nothing like South. All these things were just as open as like that. What was the sources of the trade between a place called Lagos and other parts of the world? Until the British system, the colonial master begin to partition, and create a kind of autonomy and order for easy access, business access. That was what led to. So the question is, as at that time, when this thing has not come, partition or whatever you have, the way you look at it, has not come. What was the status? What can a Portuguese missionary or explorer, what did he write about Lagos? That's the way you begin to find, that actually, before we begin to say Lagos, but the Portuguese, there has been slavery, slave trade, in almost all the parts of Africa. So Lagos became a metropolitan status as at that time, so to say, where business of slave trade and moving out of people, human beings, as slaves from that point to another point of the world.
The Yorubas claimed.
No, it was a calculated, a decided judgment on politics that was played by some Yoruba politicians, trying to harness, the Lagos status, which was a single status. Before we come about anything that has to do with the history of the southwestern region of Nigeria. So the point is this, that Lagos has always been a single status. That is one thing.
And it can stand alone.
Lagos has every capacity. Let the people of they have been. If you look at it very well, they are even saying that Lagos State cannot be part of failure. And the failure they are talking about is the entire southwestern states. They are not. Lagos is not getting anything from them. How would they be part of them? Instead, they are taking the resources that's meant for the indigenous people of Lagos State to southwestern states. And for this reason, they are saying that they want to, if anything like that is going to come up,
Regionalism.
that Lagos State have what it takes to stand alone as a nation. How many? Talking about 25 million people. Go to Denmark, go to some Scandinavian countries. They're not even up to 10 million. They're a nation. So, and that for that, I know that a lot of Yoruba scholars are going to struggle with that decision at the end of the day, because the leverage of which Lagos has given the southern, the southwest part of the country, has become a decided judgment against other tribes that find themselves in Lagos State, and of course some southwestern
Are you
states.
saying that the Southwest will not be viable without Lagos?
If you look at it very well, where is the viability? With that Lagos, considering the fact of enormous resources, federal resources that has gone down here, and consider the fact that Lagos was not actually part of. If you look at it very well, Lagos State is supposed to be an island of its own. It is supposed to have an island status. Meaning that what the former governor of Lagos State was saying, talking about then, about Lagos, there is no man's land. Jakonde is the one that said it. That Lagos is no man's. Maybe probably coming from that axis of Lagos, Badagry or thereabout. He understand what the status of Lagos at that time. That Lagos State was founded, as a regional bloc for the entire Africans, to ease trade among those states or countries within Africa.
Let's look at what the Oba of Benin said, that the Benin owns Lagos.
It's not far from the truth, because if you look at the stretching of the Igodo, and there's a tribe there called Benin. Before I talk about Akalika, if you've been hearing about Akalika, because the core Benin, as at that time, the Igodos, we are majorly people from Arochukwu, until there was an issue, and Akalika have to lead some Igbo speaking people that was part of the Igodo and the Benin Empire at that time, down to where we have Ijo, Ikwere, and Iche, and all the rest of them. And that's why some of them will come and claim, say they are from so and so place and so. But the real point of it is that they were actually Igbos who migrated from the other part of the city.
Many people will disagree with you. This is what you're saying.
No, it's not about what we say. We are struggling to define our history as a black man, and that is very important. That no matter the struggle, to continue to destroy the history of black man or black people or indigenous people, there'll still be traces, of how things came about. Some of these things have been documented over the years, and people still hold on to the tradition and culture of their indigenous people. And from there, we can begin to interpret who is from where and how come they are from where, and so on and so forth. So that is the fact. So if the Benin king or Oba come out to say, and that statement was acknowledged by the present day Oba of Lagos, it goes a long way to tell you that, at this point in time, Lagos is for Lagosians. Lagos is for Lagos. And the people, indigenous people of Lagos, are asking for sovereignty. That's what they are saying, that they want to secede from Southwest and, of course, Nigeria as a whole.
The civil war, Biafra civil war, has caused identity crisis. The Biafra civil war has caused identity crisis.
Yes, you can see it. I was giving instances to a place like Iraq. Iraq has over 250 languages, and you look at those 250 languages, you have cities, communities, and thereabout under the umbrella called Iraq. But the most significant aspect of it is when you talk about the Kurdish, who seems to assert the control of the southern part of Iraq, and of course where we can lay hand on some natural resources over there, also asking for they want to move out because of the danger posed by leadership in that area. So if you look at the Biafran war, like as I always said, why the name Biafra from the 13th century till Paul Opigo of Bayelsa suggested that name, you discover that in every city, country, there are significant states, communities, cities, that make up that very particular clan as a nation or as a country. Let me give you an instance. In a place like this now in Nigeria, we still have Niger State, Kogi State, and thereabout, and so many states, they are all under the umbrella of Nigeria. So as I explained to you before now, if you look at it as it starts from the beginning, and talking about 13th century, you can make the reference, you can see the reference that was credited to the name of Biafra as the only kingdom that houses so many kingdoms as at 13th century, before the European colonial era came up and wiped away that name, and of course that era from the map and from the traces, of the world till date. But unfortunately, the Portuguese were able to sustain, that name when they discovered there were people who still carried that logo on their head that were called ancient Ethiopian miners that share boundary with the Gulf of Guinea and thereabout. But that's not the topic from today. I'm just giving you a brief insight. That is the same thing we are experiencing in Lagos today. In Lagos, we have Idimota, we have Eko, we have Lekki. These are cities and communities that make up. So you see, that was why I'm telling you that when you talk about Biafra, they say it's South. All those things are rubbish, complete rubbish. And anybody that's buying to that need his head to be examined. I always take that stand of Nnamdi Kanu that any day, anytime, we are not going to leave an inch of the Biafran land to any fucking body. Sorry to use that word. I know I'm in the public. You understand? We are not going to leave an inch of any Biafran land to anybody. Because we know that the essence of what Gowon did by creating 12 states was not actually for unitary system or for bringing Nigerian unity together, but basically, to reduce the influence of the Igbos in the entire old eastern Nigeria as it stands as at that time. So that was the effects of people losing their indigenous identity in that regard. So it's something that happened that can happen elsewhere, especially in Lagos. As a result of generational change, people begin to lose identity to civilization, to leadership, to government, to interest, and all that. But if you go back to the real root and the beginning of those people, you discover that the truth is that this is who they are and that is where they stand. And that's what we are talking about today. That Lagos is an indigenous city. It has a single status on its own without the amalgamation of north and south. Lagos State has a single status, and I think it is time for Lagosians to stand on that charter that gave them that single status to stand alone, and run away from the impending danger or transfer of well, I don't want to use the wrong word. You know what I mean? Nobody should go and transfer something that is not pure. That's what they are saying. They want to stand alone and, of course, define themselves at the end of the day.